of pirates and privateers was a serious matter as we headed towards the end of the 18th century, so it was of the utmost importance to build a fort to defend the island against any imminent threat. Just so you know, a privateer is sanctioned by a monarchy or a company or a republic via a letter of marque to plunder booty. A pirate plunders everybody's booty. Yes, booty. That is another word for loot or treasure not get. This is your Slides Night Tour Guide, Beach Llama. Follow the magic stick. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Fort Zoutman. The namesake of Rear Admiral Arnold Zoutman was, according to research, built between 1796 and 1798 by African slaves brought over from Curacao. I mentioned in our previous episodes unveiling Pardon by and exploring the church on the bay that development in those days came by way of mandate from Curacao, the main governing body of the Caribbean Dutch colonies. Like most government, military, and religious buildings of that era, it was built from limestone, which was readily available because Aruba consists of 85% of this porous, easily manipulable building material. The fort sits at the southeastern edge of what used to be Pardon by Beach, or as we affectionately call it, Playa. Fort Zoutman had three main uses: protect the bay, repel any land-based attack, and quell any domestic disturbance. 4 cannons facing the bay would suffice as a deterrent to any attack by sea. In addition to the cannons, a very peculiar defense strategy was also used called Switch the Flags. Any colonial power that flew their flag atop the fort had control over the island, kinda like catch the flag. And as you may have figured out, a privateer never attacked the territories of the monarchy, republic, or company that hired them. So, for example, if the Dutch flag was flying above the fort and we spotted a French ship on the horizon, we would switch the flags, right? Or turn the Dutch flag on its side, whichever came first, thus thwarting any attack. This strategy was foolproof until the day that it wasn't. You see, in those days, the English and the Dutch didn't really meet eye to eye, and this culminated in an event that took place in Pardon by on October of 1799. Now, mind you, there are 2 versions of this particular story. Here we go. Number 1. The HMS Surprise, led by English Admiral Sir Edward Hamilton, mounted an attack against the ships anchored in the bay. As the men in Fort Zoutman rallied to the cannons, they had the gunpowder, the fuse was at length, the only thing missing were the balls. Yeah. The cannonballs were in Curacao, so they were left with no choice but to stuff the cannons with whatever they could find made of predominantly metal. The deafening sounds of the cannons echoed through the bay, and in the aftermath, Hamilton's first officer was lying dead before him with a spoon protruding from his forehead. The price of death by utensil was too high to pay for supplies, and so the HMS Surprise left. In the second rendition of the story, the HMS Surprise was anchored out of range of Fort Zoutman's cannons, so an attack with regular cannonballs would be a waste of ammunition. The Surprise had already lowered a longboat with Hamilton's first officer and a crew of 16 to attack the ships in the bay and secure resources. Commander Borchard Specht, head of the fort at the time, greeted the longboat with grape shots fired from the cannons, which took the life of Hamilton's first officer, thus forcing the longboat to turn back to the HMS Surprise and prompting the ship to raise anchor and vanish in the horizon. Now, I know this version doesn't sound as exciting as the former, but hey, at least it's anchored in fact. Yes, that was a pun, by the way. Today, The fort is home to the Arubian Museum of History and also a venue for events such as the Bombini Festival, a historic, cultural, and folkloric illustration of Aruba. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed the tour. Links to our previous episodes, social media platforms, and websites are in the description. And don't forget to subscribe to G's Bahari YouTube and click that notification for more Slide Snide content. As always, once a guest, always a friend. This is your Slide Snide tour guide,